So let's think about how you sell yourself, because we have to get good at selling ourselves, particularly in interviews. People need to buy what you're selling. So you need to be convinced about what you're selling. I mean, you wouldn't go into a car showroom and buy something from somebody who wasn't interested in the product. If they told you the car was rubbish and it kept breaking down and it was expensive to maintain, then you wouldn't buy it, would you? And it's the same when you're selling yourself at interview. You know, you're your own shop window. These recruiters don't know anything about you, so you have to tell them what it is that they need to know. So they're going to go through 6 steps here, 6 things that you can think about when you're selling yourself, so you don't come across as pushy and arrogant or show-offy, because we don't want to be like that, but we do want to promote ourselves. So the first thing to think about is to be clear on your purpose. What is your purpose at work in your career, and why are you passionate about it? This really helps you sell yourself. When you're really passionate about something, you want that job because you're passionate about it. So link your purpose to the job you're applying for, or the meeting you're in, presentation you're doing, wherever you are. But let's just talk about interviews for now. So link your purpose to the job that you're applying for, so that the people that are interviewing you can clearly see why they should think about giving you the job. Showing your passion will really impress any interview panel. They like to see passion. They like to see that you're really interested in something, because they know then you'll be committed to doing it. So, you know, it might be something like, I'm on a mission to ensure that house builders have a good name and build quality and robust processes. And if you're applying for a job in social housing or for a building company, contractors, then they're going to be interested in that. It might be that you say, you know, my purpose is to make sure customers get the best service when it suits them through a digital option. So if you're applying for a job with something to do with customer service or digital transformation, they can see that you've actually got a passion for helping them deliver what it is. So the first thing is to have a think to yourself. What is your purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? We can work through that in another video, but for today, just think about what your purpose is with your career. Okay. The second thing is to be proud of yourself. Remind yourself how good you are at things. What is it you're proud of achieving? And once you're proud of something, suddenly notice how much easier it is to share that achievement with somebody, because it doesn't sound show-offy. It just sounds like you're really proud of it. And you might want to think about some of your behaviors here, you know, the way you behave in certain situations, particularly at work. A lot of organizations are interested in your behaviors these days. They measure that. Be proud of the achievement that you've made. Be proud of how you've changed somebody's life, a customer or a colleague. Be proud of what it is that you've resolved for the company, how you've delivered something. Just have a think about those things that you're proud of and make a note of them. Keep a note of, you know, what it is that you're actually proud of. Maybe share something. If you think about something personal, for example, like if you said, oh, I baked this amazing banana cake at the weekend, it was brilliant. I got just the right ingredients, it was just right. You don't mind telling somebody that because you're really proud of it. So you need to transition that to your career as well. Tell people how proud you are of things. Now, the third thing to think about is to understand their needs. So the organisation you're applying to, they need you. They need your services. They need your skills. So make sure that you're selling yourself on those skills. The job description, the job advert will be very clear on what it is they need. And if you've done some research into the company, you'll see news items, you'll see their success plans, their action plans, their missions, and you'll know how you can fit into that. So remember, they need you. They need you to provide whatever service it is that they've got. Basically, they've got a problem and you could solve it. So that problem might be that they need a customer service advisor, they need a housing manager, they need an accounting partner, whatever it is. That's what they need, and you're there to give them what they need. So when you sell yourself, you're actually trying to meet the needs of your audience. So it's less about you and more about them. This is how I can help you. This is what I could do for you. There's lots of change going on out there in the world at the moment, and people are looking for different things, innovative things. So, you know, sell yourself on that. Understand what it is that they need. There's a lot more need around flexibility of working, inclusivity. You know, customers' expectations are high. People are looking for to recruit people who are forward thinking, who are going to really be passionate about what they want to do, to believe in their mission. So take some time to really understand what it is that they need in that recruitment process. And then when you talk, make sure you keep it relevant to their needs. You'll have done your research, you know what their needs are. Make sure when you speak, you're talking about what they need. So it might be, for example, that that they're looking for somebody to manage their complaints process. So then what you're selling to them is, when have you improved a complaint service based on customer feedback? What did you take into account? What action did you take? What was the impact? So that they can see how you can meet their needs. Maybe it's more about engagement of a team. Maybe the engagement has dipped and they're looking for somebody to pick it back up again. So, when have you done that? When have you improved the engagement and motivation of a team? When did you reduce absence? What was the issues? What did the poor engagement cause? How did you identify the issue and what did you do to put it right? Whatever it is, there's all sorts of examples how you're meeting their needs. Then remember to look at your own outcomes. So get to know your own outcomes intimately. So when you're preparing for an interview, you don't just think about the skills and experience that you've got, but you actually really dig deep into the outcomes. What were the actual results? So do some clarity work, get familiar with your outcomes, become intimate with your real main successes so that you can talk about them clearly, with passion and with purpose. It's really worth keeping records of all of your achievements, no matter how big or small, because they can all often be used for interview examples. Relate your outcomes, obviously, to the job that you're applying for, but think about outcomes, not just I'm a good communicator, I'm really organised. No, but what does that mean? What is the outcome of that? By being really organised, I made sure that we delivered this project on time and within budget. They want to know outcomes. So look at any white papers that there are out there, research papers, news articles, what would be helpful to expand your knowledge, and then work out where your outcomes are based around that. How are your own results relevant to what they might need? Okay, so become intimate with your own achievements. Okay, so the next thing about when you're selling yourself is to really only focus on the positives. Don't tell people what you haven't done. Don't say, I've never done that, or I've only done this. Tell them what you have done. It's a bit like a politician's answer. We're not evading the question, but psychologically, when people hear you say, I've not done it, that's what they hear. So you have to turn it around and just tell them how you would do it. So only use sentences that tell them what you can do, you have done, you could do, given the position. So this is really important when you're preparing, to actually find any gaps that you've got. So look at the job description and your experience and find those gaps, and then have a think about how you might be able to answer those questions. Always find an example of how you can show them how capable you are, how perhaps you've done something nearly the same, or you can relate it to it, or maybe you could just say, I know how to do it. So one example would be, when I worked with somebody before, one of the questions they asked was, give us an example of when you have chaired a meeting. And this person had never actually chaired a meeting, but this was the answer we worked on. I'm confident that I can chair a meeting because I've really learned from my manager in many meetings. I know the key elements of a successful meeting, such as keeping to time, keeping on topic, getting clear outcomes and actions, and managing any disruptions. So I'm really confident I can manage meetings. So it's all about focusing on the positives. Only use positive words. Tell them what you can do, could do, have done. Don't use the words, I've only done this, I've not done that, I've never done it, because psychologically it makes a difference. And then finally, learn how to tell a good story, because people in interviews, they remember how you make them feel. They don't always remember the exact words that you use. So first thing is to think about your story. What is it that makes you tick? Just know who you are, because sometimes they might ask you, tell us a bit about yourself, and then you need to have something prepared. What are you passionate about? How are you different to anybody else? So know your own story. And then when you're telling examples, give examples that include how you did it. Make the story interesting. I'm not talking about embellishing, and I'm not talking about making a novel out of what is an interview question, but just find examples that are interesting, make it real. So if there's a customer involved, then actually tell the story of the customer, how it impacted on them and what the result was. If it was a colleague or you, or even a process or the organization, how did it help the organization? Tell a little story to make it interesting, because people buy from people and you're selling yourself. So you want them to buy you. So have a little think about what you might answer if they say, tell us a bit about yourself. Always keep it partly professional, partly personal. So you really want to be focusing on, I'm really passionate about X, Y, and Z, because I've got this experience or that experience, and this is what I really want to do. But I'm also a mum, I'm married, I'm this, and I love walking, going to the cinema, whatever. Just a little bit of each. So it's really important that you do get to learn how to tell that story. There are various techniques around sort of telling stories that we can cover in another video. But like I'm telling stories about what I do and how I've done it, it just gets your interest up. And when you're in an interview, they want to get to know you. They want to get to know who you are. So give them that. Tell them a bit about yourself. Open up a little bit. Not too much, but just enough for them to get to know you. Because when you leave that interview, you want to have left them with a feeling. And maybe you need to decide what that feeling is. Do you want them to think she was really decisive? She wouldn't take any, truck from anybody. Oh, she'd fit in really well. Oh, I liked her. She'd be really supportive. She's lots of detail, which is what we want in this job. Oh, she could see the bigger picture. That's what we're looking for. What is it you want to leave them with? What feeling do you want to leave them with? Make sure you embed that into your answers. So there's my 6 steps to being better at selling yourself. If you practice each of these, then you'll get better at interviews.